Judaism is in many ways a religion of balance. Jewish wisdom is filled with examples of how we need both this and that, wisdom and good deeds, justice and mercy, strength and kindness. To only have one, or even to have too much of one over the other, can be problematic. In much the same way, Judaism has never advocated for the minimalist lifestyle or complete abstinence from pleasurable things. But so too does it warn us from living too lavishly or drinking too much. Even our kings were warned not to accumulate too much power, too many horses, or too much gold, lest they worship and show loyalty to their riches rather than to God. Therefore, it would make sense that when the texts talk about leadership, it too advocates for a middle road. A leader like Deborah who is able to guide her people with strength and compassion, or Joshua who encompasses both bravery and wisdom. This week, we were treated to a masterclass in leadership. An elder statesman, having led his people for several decades, was reminded that he will not be the leader who leads his people on the next part of their journey. Instead, he was tasked with appointing a new leader who will soon take his place. 2 weeks ago, Moses found out that he would not be allowed to enter the Promised Land. This week, God tells Moses to appoint a new leader who will lead the Israelites. He is to appoint the leader, remind them of the journey that their fathers and mothers took, and then give some final instructions before he ascends a mountain where he is to die. Moses has every right to be frustrated or mad. After all, he gave up the sweet life in Pharaoh's palace to lead this ragtag, grumpy, stiff-necked people across the desert. A people who questioned his leadership at every turn, who complained about everything, constantly saying we would have been better off if we had stayed in Egypt. Not to mention a journey that should have taken a few months, took 40 years. And now, just a few chapters ago, with a short time left of their journey, Moses is told that for one mistake, one losing of his cool, he would not be able to complete the journey that he had dedicated his life to. While the Torah does not show Moses' possible anger, our scholars, finding it hard to believe that Moses was simply okay with this, ruminate on what might have been going through his mind. Rashi speculates that just as God agrees with the 5 daughters of Zelophehad who argue that they should be given their father's inheritance when he had no sons, maybe Moses is thinking the role of leader should be passed down to one of his sons. Rashi even goes on to say that Moses thinks to himself, the time has come that I should ask for something that I want, that my sons should inherit my position. God replied to him, not thus has entered my mind. Joshua deserves to receive the reward because of his ministrations, reminding Moses that Torah, and thereby leadership, was not automatically passed down from father to son, but rather inherited by those who study and earn it, which his sons didn't. Realizing that the next leader won't be one of his sons, the scholars then try to show Moses as being magnanimous. After God tells Moses to ordain a new leader and then ascend the mountain, Moses sets out to make sure that the right leader is chosen and that the people will be well cared for. Being the true leader that he is, Moses, although he may be disappointed or frustrated that he and or his sons will not be the one to lead the people, sets out to help make that choice. Moses says to God, let Adonai, source of all breath of flesh, appoint someone over the community who shall go out before them, come in before them, and who shall take them out and bring them in. So Adonai's community may not be like a sheep who has no shepherd. In this, Moses is asking for a leader who has a steady hand and will expertly lead and guide them as they enter Israel. A leader who leads from the front with both bravery and wisdom, strength and compassion. A leader who will seek peace with their neighbors, but also not be afraid to go into battle when necessary.
Moses knows that the Israelites need someone who can lead them with both justice and mercy, guidance and empathy. So when it finally comes time to ordain Joshua as the new leader, Moses sets aside his real or imagined hesitations and goes above and beyond what God has instructed him to do. Rashi teaches that God instructed Moses to lay his hand upon Joshua, and Moses instead laid both of his hands on Joshua, showing his eagerness to throw his full support behind Joshua's new role. Jewish tradition speaks of Moses as the most humble of leaders. If you look up the definition of humility in today's world, you will find that it speaks of seeing yourself as small or as having no special importance. But in Musar, the study of Jewish ethics and morals, humility is defined very differently. Rabbi Michelle Perlman and Sharon Mars writes, "Humility is not defined as being so humble that you disappear. Rather, it's about having all of your character traits in balance so that the inner light of the soul shines pure and clear as originally intended." As Musar teacher Alan Moranis puts it, being humble doesn't mean being nobody. It just means being no more of a somebody than you ought to be. In other words, humility is about finding the right balance, being right-sized, not taking up too much or too little space. It's about knowing your worth and not over or undervaluing it. In this way, Moses is indeed the most humble of leaders. While he initially is hesitant to take on the mantle of leadership at all, once he accepts the role, he showed the self-confidence to stand up both to God and the Israelites on numerous occasions, knowing that what he had to say was important. Each time his leadership is challenged, he shows the humility and strength in proving time and time again why he was the right leader for their time. But like so many things, true humility and true leadership is about creating the balance. As a person, we need to learn to take the appropriate amount of space, neither shrinking from our potential nor taking up space that isn't ours. As a leader, we need to know when to hold our ground and when to compromise. It seems reasonable that Moses either wanted to lead the people into the promised land himself, or at least have his sons take his place. But as a man filled with humility, he knew that Joshua was the leader that the Israelites needed for the next part of their journey, and so he blessed him with both hands and a full heart. Shabbat Shalom.